March 7th, 2024. My name is David Knox, and I have multiple system atrophy. There is a company called Ono Pharma that might be onto something good for all of us with MSA and or Parkinson's. You see, the biggest difference between MSA and Parkinson's is MSA moves a lot quicker, and it usually gets to the autonomic functions, failures much quicker. And there's really one reason for this. In Parkinson's, almost all those patients react to medicine, levodopa, carbidopa, cinnamon, things like dopamine antagonists. And what that's able to do is to keep the brain transmissions, the signals going from brain to body, intact. The highway does not have a pothole, so to speak. In MSA, 80% of the patients do not react to any type of dopamine antagonist medicine. Therefore, the signals from brain to other parts of the body fails. And Ono Pharma has a clinical trial that's in phase 2 coming to Chicago in April of this year that has some promising potential. Now, again, I'm not speaking for any medical advice or anything like that, but I look at the numbers, I look at the data, and I'm optimistic. So the first problem is, excuse me, of all the neurodegenerative disorders that we think about, MSA is actually the rarest. And of course, this comes from the couple of sources, but orphan.net is one of the world's leading websites for orphan diseases or rare diseases. And depending, the prevalence of it in the United States is anywhere from 7 to 16,000 cases active at one time. Comparison to Parkinson's, Alzheimer's, MS, and dementia with Lewy bodies, it's a very, very rare disorder. So Ono Pharma is onto something here. And this picture that I took from their publications online basically talks about the problem. It's a great picture. The myelin sheath that protects our nerve endings in our brain falls apart. It's like having a garden hose with a bunch of holes in it. You're going to get water down there, but not the amount of water you're supposed to get at the end of the hose. Well, it's the same process when it comes to sending signals to spinal cord and spinal cord to the rest of the body from the brain. If this myelin sheath breaks down, there's nothing, our signals are not insulated, and they disperse into the body instead of going, to the hands per se, or to the eyes, to the heart, blood pressure, things like that. So the goal of this clinical trial is to restore that myelin sheath that we so badly need for MSA. Again, Parkinson's doesn't really have to worry about this because they react to medicine, and this typically does not happen. Again, 80% of the time, they definitely do. So there is a gene that Ono Pharma is taking note of targeting. It's the S1P5 gene. And the S1P5 is known for a few things. From their website, it's a migratory receptor that regulates the retention of tissue-resident lymphocytes. It's predominantly expressed in the nervous and immune systems, the central nervous system as well. It regulates the peripheral retention of tissue, right? It's in the immune system. It regulates the egress of natural killer cells from lymph nodes and playing a vital role in the immune and neurodegenerative disorders, such as carcinogenesis or the initiation of cancer formation. The gene S1P5 is required for natural killer cell trafficking from the bone marrow and lymph nodes to the periphery, the rest of the body. Right? It also plays a critical role in the initiation of cancer cells, or suppressing that thereof, right? It controls the spreading of certain compounds throughout the body, right? It's associated with the signaling and reduced nuclear accumulation of these proteins we don't want, such as alpha-synuclein protein. We want them. We just don't want them building up on our cells and causing us to have MSA. But the biggest thing is S1P5. It's one of the 5 S1P receptors which play an important role in immune and central nervous cell homeostasis, growth, and differentiation. The S1P5 is a control center when it comes to this alpha-synuclein protein and having the myelin sheaths stay together. It regulates good and bad for us in neurodegenerative disorders. So they had a study, their last clinical phase 1. Well, phase 1 is fine. We're on phase 2, which means it's safe. Now they're doing the medicine part of it. But if you go back to their last report they had, the last study, and here's a picture of it. The black would be the control vessel of basically MSA with no treatments, and then light blue would be a 6 milligram dose, and then the dark blue would be a 30 milligram dose. So what you see here is the EAE score, which is very typical for these types of things. Again, this was on mice, on non-primal rodents, right? And you can see as they increase the dose of this S1P5 agonist that they have, this medicine, it actually suppresses. It goes from a rat that was having level 3, which is complete paralysis of both hind limbs, right, both the rear legs, to knocking it all the way down to just having a limp tail as a symptom. I'm pretty sure a lot of us, and I can speak for a lot of us with MSA, I would be okay with a limp tail, and you can fill in the blank there, as long as I'm able to move my hands and legs. It makes perfect sense. This is on animals, right? Non-human primates, but it shows possibilities. It shows success in the animals. If you can't reverse, how do you say this correctly, right? Just like Parkinson's, right? You can't attack everything at once, but if you can slow it down, if you can regenerate certain cells, certain products of the body, then you can stop it and possibly reverse it. Now, I'm not saying this is going to reverse it, but at the very least, it's going to make the symptoms way less than what we typically would have with MSA. So if, I've been following up for about a year and a half at studies like this where, if they can rebuild the sheath, the protectant layer around our nerve cells in the brain, then we can regenerate. The signals would go from A to Z, and we would not have these, loss of fine motor controls. And as soon as, like, you see me, you can notice me right now speaking, right? That's what happens when we lose our control. And this is a very good possibility that they are accomplishing that, at least in animals. And this is in phase 2. It's active around a few locations around the United States, but again, I'm waiting for April for downtown Chicago to happen because that's way closer for me. So, I thought this would be very interesting to talk about. It's a great clinical trial. Ono Pharmaceuticals has many clinical trials for not only MSA but Parkinson's and other diseases too, and they showed success. So, hopefully things are on the up and up, and something to look forward to. Their clinical trial, if I read correctly, you have to be less than 5 years of symptoms onset. So there's still a lot of us that are within the 5 years, not a diagnosis, but a symptom onset that would definitely apply for this clinical trial. So I encourage you, if you have MSA and even Parkinson's, to look for this in your area and take advantage of it, because this has a lot of. This is not a study of orthostatic hypotension. This is the study of trying to stop the disease, slow it down, and reverse it. And it seems pretty good from my eyes. So I appreciate you. Just a quick video. I'll get some more. Going out of town this weekend, but I'll be in the UK next week, and hopefully I can broadcast from there. Otherwise, I appreciate you. If you enjoyed the video, like, share, subscribe. Definitely share it. Get the word out there. That's all I ask for. All of us on the same team, fighting the same fight. I appreciate you. I love you. I'll see you next episode.